coming to get you, Barbara.
Here's some money. Go see a Star War.
But I'm trying, Ringo. I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd.
Welcome back to Long Walk Talks. My name is David Hensley. I'm the owner and creative director of Long Walk Productions, and I am joined today by my two co-hosts, Stan Wilson Lee.
Howdy, howdy.
And Chris, still chewing on his Tootsie Roll, Barnes.
Be with you in a second.
And today we are going to be talking about franchise Longrunners. But before we get into our actual discussion topic, about 2 episodes ago on This Is a Work, our sister show hosted by David Two Dogs Hayes about WWE pay-per-views, Dogs asked me what our listening audience was like, which is something that I hadn't looked at in a couple of months. So we pulled it up and I decided to see who's listening to us where, and we discovered that we have one listener in Ghana and one listener in Switzerland.
At least once.
Yeah. So it doesn't tell us, there are 3 shows in this network. There's us, Long Walk Talks, and then there's This Is a Work and This Is a Takeover. So it doesn't say which one of the shows they listen to, but if it's this one or if it's all 3 of them, hit me up. Email me. I stopped throwing my email address out there at the end of episodes like I used to, but tell us how you found the show, if you're enjoying it. So if you're our Ghana listener or our Switzerland listener, we'd love to hear from you.
And do you understand us?
They don't understand you. Chances are they probably understand me and Chris.
Ditto.
But yeah, so if you're one of those 2 listeners, hit me up, David.Longwalk at gmail.com.
I'm also curious, what do you use the sound of our podcast to scare away?
Well, probably to go to sleep to, I would imagine. We lull them into a peaceful slumber.
I bet that opening does it, the opening and the closing, when you put on your NPR voice.
Oh, well, I have a face for radio, so, and also a voice, I guess, for radio.
You soothe them and you lull them into a false sense of security. And
I'm good like that.
But then I go and wake them up.
I should do ASMR, and you should never do that, Stan.
ASMR?
Yeah.
What is ASMR?
It's, I don't know how to describe it. Chris, do you know? Put it into words.
It is soft but close, intimate sounds like people talking very closely into the mic. Hold on.
The fact that
I'm not done yet.
A miracle.
No, it for some people it provokes a response where it basically gives them goosebumps. It elicits a response in their brain that calms them. So
you're talking phone voice.
Kind of. I don't like the way you said that.
That's what it is.
No,
what you're saying.
That's.
I have that.
Let's not run down this pathway.
I'm experienced.
No.
All right. ASMR is Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
Yeah.
Blah.
Yeah.
No.
Blah.
How the hell did we get derailed so fucking quickly? One second we were talking about our listeners in Ghana and Switzerland.
I'll
and the
accept
next thing,
any blame necessary to move on.
So let's go ahead and move into our discussion topic, which is franchise Longrunners. So let's start off by talking about what's been going on for too long. And
can we go in reverse order?
Okay, you want me to go first?
You don't even know what the order is.
Well, usually it's you,
me,
Chris,
right?
And then me.
I'm not sure what I have for.
Yeah, think about it. So the caveat for this was what we're going to be talking about: video games, TV shows, and movies. And there has to be, usually to be considered a long-running franchise, there has to be 4 or more entries. So trilogies don't really count, but beyond a trilogy, that's what I think of as a long-running franchise. So I'll tell you what I think has been going on entirely too long, and that's reality TV.
Oh, yeah.
Any singing show ever.
We do have one bright spot coming, which is the end of the Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Finally. But Big Brother, Survivor.
Now, will it end in the murder spree, I hope?
Time will tell. Yeah, that's my pick. Just let's kill
the really bad that you know, they say they're not scripted, but they're totally scripted.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
the Big Brothers, the Survivors, something like The Greatest Race. That's cool.
No.
Yeah,
Even that-
Amazing Race is what it's called, but that's actually good because of
The only interesting ones that are the ones that have to be as little manipulated as possible. If I see like editor and writer pop up in the credits,
Yeah.
it's bullshit.
No, I will tell you what I'm okay with. There's nothing more fun than sitting on your couch on your fat ass watching American Ninja Warrior or something like that.
Something like that's good. I love
Going,
that.
I could do that if I gave a shit and actually tried and applied myself and worked out.
You know, because those are actual, you know,
Oh, I couldn't.
they're competitions, and they're more like sporting events, like the Amazing Race is an actual, you're going across the world racing to a point, and you know, and it's not like this stupid Big Brother fake, oh my God, I can't live with you anymore, blah blah blah, or what's happening now, Love Fucking Island, which could be the worst thing.
No, it is.
Especially,
Love fucking Island.
Well, that's not the right name. It is fucking Island, but
but especially in this time, you know, giving us a total fake, false sense of hope, because there's no social distancing involved and there's no masks involved. And Love Island was just filmed like 2 weeks ago.
Thank you, England.
You know, not like, I mean, I don't give it a pass, but at least Big Brother was filmed at the end of last year. You know,
Well, what's that show that's on now where the whole goal is to not have sex? Well, isn't it like
know.
Blue Ball Island or something like that?
I don't.
It's Love
know.
Island, I think, isn't it? Yeah. But I think they have sex in it because
I don't know.
everybody's hooking up.
There's some reality TV
Bachelor?
show on. No,
Oh,
it's not
that's
The Bachelor. That needs
Bachelor
to end
needs
too.
to go, and Bachelorette
Yeah,
needs to
but yeah,
fucking
there's
go.
a whole show about not having sex with all the other people that you're like on this island with
hell,
or
put
in
me
this
in,
house.
See, that might want to be.
I do that every day. I
right?
don't have sex every fucking day.
That might want to stick around because I could probably compete in that.
I mean, the talent pool for that show is limitless. There is that. But, Chris,
Among us
what's been going
incels.
on for too long?
This conversation.
What movie or TV show or video game do you think is just outworn its welcome?
Well, that's easy. Fast and Furious.
Yes.
That whole series is like, I get it, and see, I know you kind of like the way earlier entries, and I can see the appeal. It's fun in a dumb way, especially because it's based off a racing video game franchise. But now they're thwarting international terrorists with the power of cars, like the Carvengers.
Yeah, it's the fact that going back, and if you watch the Fast and the Furious, they are small-time petty thieves.
They were trying to steal trucks transporting VCR DVD combos.
Yeah, like they stole electronics and fenced them.
They were boosting,
in souped up cars, and you go from that to like saving the world and still in their souped up cars.
The stakes were high for an undercover cop, but that was about it.
Yeah, I don't understand how that progression happened.
And now the new one is rumored they're finally going to do something that people have joked about for years. They might go to space, and then
it was only a matter of time, because in a franchise that is constantly trying to top itself,
they fucking raced a sub in one of the.
Yeah, they raced a sub. I mean, fuck's sake! I think it was 7. They race cars through skyscrapers.
Through buildings.
Oh boy. Okay, yeah, I can get on board with that. Stan, have you had sufficient time to think of something that just needs to end already?
I'm gonna go with like what you said, the really bad pseudo reality TV shows, because you know, if you're not buff and porn star looking casting, you're not going to get cast in it anyway. But
well, you are, but you're going to get
or in
made
the sense
fun
of Survivor, where all it is about, you know, how stupid can I talk about other people for long enough to keep me on this island, and the stupid false allyship shows and stuff like that.
Dave, I
but
don't like
also,
how Stan's talking. We should form an alliance.
Okay, you and me.
Vote
but
him out.
and I had to group all these together because not all of them have lasted past 4 years or whatever. But the bad CBS fake Family Guy shows like Man of the House and the Tim Tooltime Taylor ripoff shows,
You mean Fat Guy and Hot Wife?
It's
the CBS special. It's the
like
dumpy, unattractive guy. Well, not unattractive, but dumpy kind of fat
the Patricia Heaton starring bad sitcoms, poorly written, and Mom, which has some of the greatest female character actors in the world, but is a really bad show. Well, I'll give it a pass on the last 2 years. That's been.
Are you talking about Last Man Standing?
No. Well, Last Man Standing
that was Tim Allen's current.
And then the Matt LeBlanc.
Man with a Plan.
Man with a Plan, which is horrible.
I only found that out that existed the other day because I was looking on Amazon and I saw like season 3 popped up with the show.
God, I haven't even heard of this.
Now Walton Goggins has one, but it's not horrible. But it's in that same vein.
But he's better than the material.
He's better than that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's saved by the cast because it's got all these great folks. Who's a comedian? Not Jim Gaffigan, but the. You know who he is.
Jim Jaffigan.
Yeah, but anyway, it's got a pretty stellar cast, but again, with the lack of writers to give to these great actors and stuff. But I just wish CBS would go maybe the route of mid-90s, early 2000s NBC and stuff. And, if you're going to do the Thursday night, stay home, watch TV shows, do something good like that. If you're going to write for Matt LeBlanc, have writers from Friends write for you. It's like, because he's had like cable shows that are really great, based on himself. And it's like, you don't.
Pages, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It was the really, yeah.
And it's just, I really can't stand that. And it's like, there is better writing, and you don't have to, just because she won an Emmy, you don't have to give Patricia Heaton a job.
You've really got it out for Patricia Heaton.
She's like the acting Julie Taymor. It's like
Tamor.
Tamor. She should be tamed in some way.
And I think it's just because I've been disconnected from regular TV for so long. It's just like, that popped up, and I was like, Man with a Plan. Oh, Matt LeBlanc has a new show. It's season 3. How long has this been going on?
What is live television anymore?
It might make this list because it's got a 3rd season, but it's really bad. It's really.
I really opened Pandora's box here with this, didn't I?
But yeah, so I'm with you in the sense, we need less reality TV, and let's get back to writing good situation comedies. Because there is room for really good sitcoms, and there always has been, and there always will be, and it's like it's not that
like
hard.
The Big Show.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Disney Channel sitcoms in general are just something that need to stop.
Yeah.
Because the 3-camera sitcom is something that's really simple and it's really easy to get wrong. And boy, does Disney Channel just dumb it way the fuck down.
And the thing is that it's got history. I mean, that's where TV started. Well, it started with single camera situation comedies, but still, you have history. You can do good stuff, and you might. It's like if you're striving to do Leave It to Beaver, then do great Leave It to Beaver. It's like if you want that super hyper, hopeful bullshit.
I too am worried about the Beaver.
Treacly stuff. It's like, but classic Beaver is
Beaver classic.
Classic
is great, but
Beaver. Okay. Well, let's go
Let's
ahead
strive for more classic Beaver.
there's no topping classic Beaver. Let's go ahead and transition into our best ofs and our favorites. And as always, I like to remind our listeners that these lists are completely objective on our parts.
Objective?
Subjective. I always get that wrong.
No, you're
Damn
right.
it.
This is definitive and should be adhered to.
Damn it, I did it again.
Objective, I think. Objectifying, maybe.
I feel it's worth pointing out that in my research on long-running franchises, longer than any other TV show, movie franchise, whatever in history, special mention needs to go to a soap opera, The Guiding Light.
I was wondering which one.
Which collectively, from the time it started as a radio drama to transitioning to TV to finally ending, I think in 2010, it ran for almost 80 years, which is insane. I just felt like pointing that out, so that if you want to talk about a long-running franchise, there you go, 80 fucking years.
Well, we get it from our forefathers in Britain, because their TV, I mean, it lands on one side or the other, because it's always like either the best stuff from British television is like it was only 6 episodes and they're all perfect,
or it's 38 episodes,
or it's going today as it has been since like 1954 on BBC Radio 1. Yeah, it's like
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
But Doctor Who is in like a revamp, so it's like they're doing like several 12 episode seasons.
I always forget that you're a Whovian.
I loved the Who.
What are we talking about? All right, so do you still want to go in reverse order, Stan? You want me to start with my best of franchise?
Why not?
All right, we're going to start it off with video games, and there are a lot of really great options that we've talked about on the show before. I'm a big fan of the Mass Effect series, Resident Evil, several others. But as far as favorite video game franchise goes, I got to go with Halo.
I thought there might be that.
Yep, 19 years strong. I was supremely disappointed to find out that Halo Infinite got pushed back to next year. I was so looking forward to that coming out in November or December. I've been a Halo nerd for a long time now. I am terrible at multiplayer, and yet I still occasionally will jump on there just to get murdered and trash talked to by 12-year-olds. That's my pick for a long-running video game franchise is Halo, which I don't think neither of you guys have played.
I don't. I'm not a fan of FPS. I mean,
that's right.
It messes with me visually in terms of something about trying to just see it first person and then trying to also handle controls at the same time messes with me.
Yeah.
It does that little thing in my brain where it's just like, I know it's not real, but for a second, my brain, like the lizard brain, is fooled, and it's just like, and I kind of spaz out a little bit, and I just kind of lose my control over what I'm supposed to be doing.
I gotcha.
I can do okay, but I hate it.
All right, well let's talk about something you enjoy then. What's your pick for a best long-running video game franchise?
I thought you said something I'd enjoy.
Oh,
I made myself sad with that one. No, it actually sprang to mind just because I've been playing it recently. The Yakuza series on PlayStation is it is going to be, well, by the end of I think October, it's going to be up to 8 games.
Oh yeah, that's I didn't talk about how long Halo has gone.
Yeah.
Infinite is number 6. There have been 2 real-time strategy games.
Yep.
There's been Reach. And then there's been the offshoot ODST.
You saying that reminds me. There's been 8 mainline games in the Yakuza series. There's also like at least 2 or 3 different offshoots that I think a couple of are Japan only. Yakuza is a series, if you haven't played it, where you until the next game comes out, you've been playing. The main protagonist is a Yakuza member named Kiryu, and over the course of Yakuza 0 through 6, you cover his adventures in what is basically an overarching crime drama. Now I say that because the mainline game story is very much an intense, melodramatic, pathos-ridden drama about life.
It's a crime film that you can play.
Basically. Yeah.
And occasionally take breaks to go and eat at restaurants.
Yes, because I say that like the overarching...
And drink sake.
Yeah, it's a great dramatic story when you're doing the main storyline. There's a little bit of humor sprinkled in there. Then you do what's called the sub-stories, and you get sucked into the wackiest bullshit.
The one and only time I've ever watched you play this, you were like, "Yeah, I gotta eat something from every restaurant in this plaza."
That's one of the things you do.
You eat a lot of noodles.
In terms of, they want you to do things in the game to earn what's called completion points, right, to up your abilities. So one of them is eat and drink everything from every restaurant you can go to in the area.
Well, one of my favorite things in that is the collecting of the monster cards
Oh my
from
god!
the
Yeah, there's they
the
remastered
anime game
the first game.
that you play, or that you actually go into an arcade.
Yes.
And you play this game.
It is a children's card game. You play it against children.
It's basically what Magic the Gathering, but with insectoid.
Well, it's kind of like what is it, like Battle Bug Beauties?
Battle Bug Beauty. Yes.
It is attractive ladies dressed up as various types of bugs. You choose
bees, ladybirds,
mantises.
beetles, mantises.
And this is a game within the game?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And you choose attacks for them to have, and you basically play a glorified version of rock, paper, scissors to win these matches.
Wow.
Another sub story you can get into is you end up at what's called a pocket racer stadium.
Yeah.
Where you build your own little mini RC car and then race it against people to win tournaments.
And it's kind of fun.
You are an organized crime.
And you're basically doing Boy Scout
Yes.
Pinewood Derby.
Well, even organized crime members have to relax and have fun sometimes.
That is basically the premise of that sub story.
Nice.
Yeah, there's always some sort of weird lesson they try to impart.
But you're totally right in the pathos is because
Oh, yeah.
his main thing is that he's got to save this
His family.
young girl.
Yeah,
and
there's a whole mystery as to the who killed the head of the organization.
Right.
And you're also trying to protect this young girl, and at the same time solve this mystery. You are trying to clear your name as the person labeled responsible. But aside from all that, then you got to go and stop a guy from jumping off a roof because the girl he likes to visit in a hostess club, he doesn't have any more money to give to her.
Legit.
And then he is ultimately saved from jumping off because she shows up and she's like, please don't die. And the implication is, please don't die. I want you to buy me more things. And he accepts that as a reason to live, and they walk off into the night.
Stan, you didn't tell me that there was a video game based on you.
Well, it's like I need to keep some secrets.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of keeping secrets, what is your pick, Stan?
For
video game.
Fidges.
And if you know me, you're gonna know this. I'm a huge fan of the Mass Effect stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, I'm a huge fan of the RPG style.
Nerd.
I know, right? and it took me, and I've mentioned this, how long it took me to get into console gaming as a whole regularly. And it's like, I went from Sega Genesis back in the 90s, and I went nothing until like 2003 and got my first PS3 or whatever, PS2.
That is quite a jump.
PS2. So it was a long time before I actually got into anything regular. And so when I discovered, Oblivion or Fallout 3 and started playing RPGs that, take you into the netherworlds for months at a time, and you don't come out until, the next season. But no, I became a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls series, and I really can't wait for 6. And I know it's going to be next gen games, but next gen consoles. But the Elder Scrolls, and I could easily pick the Fallout games as well, but Elder Scrolls probably has the most impact in my rebornness in video games. Rebirth, thank you. That's the word I wanted to use, and I don't know why bornness came out of my mouth, but because it sounds neat. No, I agree. So my rebirth into video gaming, I have to state Elder Scrolls, because something about Skyrim, Oblivion, and I've only played Oblivion and Skyrim out of that series, but I can't wait for the next one. And of course, that all led me into Fallout 4 and everything like that. So it's definitely, and Grand Theft Auto came after
That's another good choice,
Oblivion, and so that would be like.
I really thought that GTA was going to be your pick.
It's definitely in there just because of what it is. I mean, again, we talked about.
I mean, it had such an interesting start from the top-down weirdness that it was, and then
San Andreas.
Then 3 came out and revolutionized everything about sandbox games.
Yep. And that's the key. The whole sandbox experience and.
Finding Bigfoot and
UFOs and the idea that it's you're in a movie and you're in it. You are a character, even though you're playing characters, but you are in this film and you can play it the way you need to, and it's just a beautiful sense of gaming. But Elder Scrolls has always been the most affecting, I think, in the sense.
GTA 3 had one of the best touches in a game I've ever seen, which is you complete the missions against the Triad, and after that point in the game, every time you wander into Triad territory, out of nowhere, you're just shot at. There's no one doing it. There's just bullets that just start flying at you every time because they hate you so much at that point.
There's a political statement to be made there, I'm sure. But we're moving along fairly quickly. I'm proud of us.
Yay.
Let's move on from video games to talking about TV shows. Which, again, good Lord, especially in the age of Netflix and Amazon Prime and so many streaming services, there are so many to pick from. I just sort of swung a bat and went for one. My pick for a long-running TV franchise is going to be all 6 seasons of the show Justified, a show that just got better over time. It really settled into what it was. It figured out what it was and how to play to all of its best strengths. The cast got even better as it went on. Character development got so deep, and you get so emotionally invested in these characters. It's hard for me to think of another show. I get invested. I don't want to say that I got invested in, because I do get invested in a lot of TV shows, but Justified for me was just such a weird experience of jumping into and then getting so involved in so fast, and then like going out and reading the books by Elmore Leonard that Raylan Givens is based on, or where he was introduced. I don't know exactly how to describe my.
Well, I know what it is. You didn't just have an investment in it; you had a return on investment. Good point. Like you can get into something and then end up being disappointed by it, but you weren't to the point where you actually delved in as hard as you could.
Yeah,
and came out feeling great about it.
Yeah,
and you had kind of a paradigm shift in your creative thinking as well, because of the style and and it's like your style of stuff kind of shifted, and you had a different sense of how you went about doing stuff after the Justified stuff. And it's like and that's what I really enjoyed about Justified, is how it takes a paradigm and sets it on its other side, and flips it over and
it turtles it. Yeah,
it turtles it totally. But yeah, there's paradigm shifts.
Yeah,
involved in that. You getting so deep into noir and finding that in yourself.
Well, if any listeners are interested, all 6 seasons are currently on Hulu. I actually watched the first 2 seasons like when quarantine started back in March. And I really need to go back and watch the next 4, because holy shit, there's a lot of great plot in there, and there's a lot of great cameos and great villains.
And he gave us Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
I mean, The Shield gave us Walton Goggins, but the Justified, he came into his
one of the best TV villains of all time in Boyd Crowder.
Yeah. I'll say ultimately not my kind of show, but I know a good show when I see it, and that is a great show.
Yeah. All right, so Chris, best long-running TV franchise.
Well, I have 4, and this is just off the top of my head, honestly.
Yeah, of all the topics, TV would be the easiest one to go off on.
Yeah. And I'm not really ranking them, but the one I'll start with is the one that barely makes it onto the list, because you said the the cutoff is it needed to have more than 3.
More than 4 entries.
More than 4? Ah, damn! I have to cut it.
I'm sorry, 4 or more.
4 or more? Okay, good. It counts, but barely. And that is My Name Is Earl.
Okay.
My Name Is Earl was a fantastic show. It had an excellent, quirky premise, and it built on it. And something that a lot of sitcoms or comedies in general, they kind of go they'll usually kind of end up going the Simpsons route, which is kind of no richer, no wiser. They don't really things will get reset to a status quo. And the whole point of My Name Is Earl is that can't happen. Earl is supposed to continue to grow and become a better person as he works on solving the problems that he helped cause a long time ago. It's really good. Basically, Jason Lee, I don't know why I forgot his name. He just plays basically just like a low-life white trash guy who he's just basically like a petty con man and thief. And he wins the lottery, and almost immediately after he's hit by a car. And as he's laying in the hospital, he learns about the concept of karma, and realizes that the reason he can't really experience a lot of good things in his life is because he's done so much bad. So basically, he spends the series trying to balance the books, and he writes a list of every bad thing he's ever done, and he goes back into those people's lives to try and rectify it and basically replace the bad karma with good. They're really fun. And
nice.
He's joined by his brother, played by Ethan Suplee.
Lee and Suplee.
Yeah, the whole series is just well cast and well written, and it's a shame. It's a damn shame they did not get a proper ending.
Yeah.
And it gave us Jamie Presley, too.
Yes. What was next? News Radio. News Radio is one of the finest sitcoms of all time. A lot of people don't like the 5th season, but I absolutely love it just as much as the rest of the series. It's just a great ensemble comedy about people working in the mid-90s in a news radio station. Literally.
Man, I forgot about News Radio, and I have a couple of seasons thanks to you.
You have all of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I say 4? Because it's 4. Futurama. Mm-hmm. Futurama was long running before its cancellation, and then it came back twice, including 4 direct-to-DVD movies.
Mm-hmm. Which I think they now count as a season.
Whatever.
When you break down all the episodes in the movies.
No, they can't do that.
No, that's what Comedy Central does.
Well, they're
count,
wrong because they labeled the seasons that came after the movies as seasons 5 through 9. There's like, no. I disagree.
Sorry, listeners. There was a brightly flashing light outside of our studio that kind of took me by surprise.
Well, it took me by surprise.
And then
I'm not the only one who saw that.
And then I had to look because I'm a follower.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there is 2 more.
This is it. This is the rest of the podcast,
it
folks.
It could very well be, because especially now that I'm talking about animation, American Dad has been going for, I think it's about 14 seasons.
Yeah. 14.
Still going. I love that show. And
got dropped by Fox and picked up by TBS.
Yep. Absolutely hilarious. Just the writing and the characterization and the voice acting is great. And I'll transfer those reasons onto the last one, which is Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
Bob's Burgers, which is, and I think it's about to start its 11th season.
Yep.
And it's fantastic. That's all I can say. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. Very nice. Stan, TV shows, long-running franchises. What have you got?
I'm going to state the obvious. I was talking about paradigm shifting with Justified, but what changed my paradigm would be The West Wing.
I think we've said the word paradigm too much.
Yeah, it's lost all meaning now.
We shifted.
It sounded like
we need to stop on this paradigm.
But
it sounds like a word that you made up now.
Awesome! I made a paradigm. That's awesome. Stand-a-dime.
Paradigm by the dashboard light.
Yes.
2 tickets to Paradigm.
Paradigm dashboard confessional.
I think we're at Paradigm Lost.
But oh wow, nice.
Take me down to Paradigm
but
City.
No, West Wing is mine.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
That is my.
You know, I didn't realize that so many people did like periodic rewatches. I remember several years ago, an ex introduced me to a friend of hers who was like, "Yeah, I rewatch all 6 seasons of The West Wing every year. Like once a year, I just rewatch it beginning to end." And I was like, okay. And I started seeing people online like, "Yeah, I'm watching The West Wing again from the beginning this year." And then you were like, "Yeah, I'm going to start over." I was like, "Is this
like my 10th time?
Is this just a thing that
time
people
that I've
do
rewatched.
once a year? You got to rewatch The West Wing?"
It just ends up being the best thing on television. You know, it's like you're on Netflix and it's like, oh, there's West Wing again. Why not? You know, and it's like,
Well,
and
now
then-
it's a fantasy series.
true that, right? The fantasy we want to have too. Chris brings it up. It's like that's Judd Bartlett is the president that we should have always had, and Obama came close, but he'll even say that I wasn't quite Judd Bartlett, but that's the greatest and then Matt Santos gets elected. Matt Santos, played by Jimmy Smits, who is everybody's president in the world, who could have been the second Judd Bartlett. But
Sorry,
the last season ended on his election. But
Just laughing because I forgot Martin Sheen's character's name was Jed Bartlett.
I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen
Bartlett for America.
President Pear.
I haven't seen The West Wing, full disclosure. I've never watched it, but every time I read or hear somebody say the words President Jed Bartlett, it takes me aback.
It's Jedediah, if you
Even
want to get
better.
more formal.
Yeah.
Jedediah Bartlett.
Do we?
But the thing is that he represents true leadership, both spiritually, economically. He's a devout Catholic. He has a Nobel Prize in economics. Head of his class, one of the great governors of New Hampshire. So it's like just his resume is brilliant. But the thing is that West Wing gave Rob Lowe a new career. Started Bradley Whitford's career, and now it's like. And I was talking to you the other day. I think you were maybe you weren't there, Chris, but
Probably wasn't.
It might have just been a mirror.
maybe. But I
Might
want
have been a hat rack.
I want a new
Dave made a
series.
sock puppet.
However many years later, 10 years later, whatever. But West Wing returns to see Bradley Whitford and what he looks like now.
Bradford Pear.
More pears.
But West Wing is for me one of the greatest things to ever happen. So
Nice. All right, guys, we're doing really well. As long as we don't shit the bed right here at the end, we're on track for a very concise episode.
but we're to move.
Well, I have news for you.
Yeah, we're going to move into the long-running movie franchise, and I'll start since that's the way this episode is going so far. I'm very tempted, and I want to say the Star Wars franchise.
The Star Wars?
Yeah, go see a Star Wars. Because it's just such a deeply ingrained love of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But talking specifically about film, my God, the Star Wars franchise is has become so much bigger than that into video games and TV, books, comic books. In fact,
It is kind of a genre unto itself.
it really is. And in fact, I need to give a shout out to one of our listeners and friend of the pod, Jenny Lawrence, who a couple months ago sent me a box of the Young Jedi Knight novels that I have been reading. So thank you for that, Jenny.
Jennifer Lawrence listens.
No, not that. Not J-Law.
J-Law.
Not J-Law.
Jen Le.
But yeah, so as much as I would love to say Star Wars, that is much bigger than just a film franchise. I'm actually going to go with, as a standalone film franchise, the Mission Impossible series, which I know was originally a TV show, and I know that it has spawned a couple of video game spin-offs, but primarily when you say Mission Impossible now, people think of Tom Cruise. and they think of the 6 films in the franchise, which, aside from one slight misfire that wasn't John Woo's fault, they've gotten better. Every single film has gotten better since the second one. Across multiple directors, J.J. Abrams, I think it's Brad Bird, right, from Pixar,
Possibly.
directed 4. I mean, yeah, the fact that...
And McQuarrie's...
Ralph McQuarrie, there we go.
Christopher McQuarrie is done the last 2, or
Yeah.
is the last 3?
I think it's...
Last 2, right?
No, I think Brad Bird directed 4, and then Christopher McQuarrie did 5 and 6. Just the sheer amount of shit that Tom Cruise is willing to put himself through. And if there are any masochistic listeners out there, there are videos where you can watch him hurt himself in graphic detail. I saw somebody slowed down the footage of Tom Cruise breaking his ankle during the filming of the last one. I think Fallout was 6. Yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a video of there's footage of him mistiming a jump across 2 buildings and shattering his ankle, and it is harrowing to watch, and yet I couldn't stop myself from doing it. But unlike the Fast and the Furious franchise, like we have talked about, each movie has gotten progressively bigger and crazier and outdone itself without getting so insanely ridiculous. And the Mission Impossible films are still ridiculous in the levels of insanity that they reach, but they're not, driving cars through skyscrapers ridiculous yet. We'll see what happens by the time Tom Cruise is 70, because this franchise now is 24 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible came out in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Cruise is in his 50s. How long are we going to keep they tried to do a backdoor replacement with Jeremy Renner's character in Ghost Protocol, then that didn't pay off. And to the point where, in fact, Jeremy Renner isn't even in Fallout.
Was that the Fallout?
That was the Fallout. They tried to put Jeremy Renner into so many franchises.
They tried with the
Bourne.
Yeah, they tried to have him take over the Bourne series with Bourne Legacy, and then just a few years later, Matt Damon's back again.
Matt just opened the door and said, fine, I'll do it myself.
It's like Jeremy Renner's crossed some, he's got Mission Impossible, he's got Bourne, he's got the Avengers, so he's got the MCU behind him, and now he's going to have his own Disney Plus series.
Hawkeye series.
So it's like, you got to give him cred for that, that he's been in the stuff.
Yeah,
he's been in the fight.
And listeners, if you ever just want a good franchise that you can just jump into, it's there. Obviously, there's continuity between the films, but it's not like you need to watch them in order to get the entirety of it. Sometimes when I can't decide on what I want to watch, I'll just pick whatever Mission Impossible film I come across streaming first. It just goes on. And
you can go based on mood too. If you want the more humorous ones, do the earlier ones. If you want the really super dark ones, I don't know. I kind of disagree with that, because if you go back to the 96 Mission Impossible, the original,
that movie's dark as hell.
It is. It's De Palma, so yeah.
Yeah, and it was the least bombastic of the series and the most grounded.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that gave us the famous. 2 and 3
were pretty funny.
Yeah, those were the ones where they really decided to go out there. Yeah, 3 gave us Simon Pegg.
No, that wasn't 3.
Was it 4?
I think it was 4. It was either 4 or 5.
It must have been 4, I think.
Because 3 is Philip Seymour Hoffman as the bad guy.
Right.
And I've seen 3. I've only seen 1 and 3.
Huh.
And 3 has a special place in my heart because of Philip Seymour Hoffman's "You Hung Me of an Airplane." his weird dead soulless performance as the bad guy is great.
Yeah, and the actors that have played the big bads in the Mission Impossibles have been great too. I mean, wasn't it? Henry Cavill. Superman
Henry Cavill was
the last one. Wasn't
in Fallout. No.
Was Pegg in 3?
Yeah, 2006.
I did not remember that at all.
Yep. Well, he was a supporting character in 3. He didn't actually become part of the team until 4.
Well, Pegg, I think at that point he wasn't super big yet.
No, because that was fresh off of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead.
And that's why I wouldn't have recognized him immediately.
But you got Ving Rhames. and you actually have really good performances from like John Voight and
Oh, yeah.
and what's his face? The
you know the story
Oh
about-
God. What's his name?
I don't know.
I don't know. Give us something to help you.
You know,
Describe him.
He's the new director.
Alec Baldwin?
Alec Baldwin. Thank you. And both of them, you don't know if they're bad or good until the final, and we find out that
you know
John
the
Voight
story
is-
of why John Voight was in the first one, right?
No.
Peter Graves refused to do it because he did not want the character he played on TV for so long turned into the bad guy.
Right.
That was
Which,
it.
spoiler alert for a 24-year-old movie, but there you go.
Yeah.
John Voight's character was the bad guy the whole time.
And Alec Baldwin has picked up that role, and his stuff in Mission Impossible is really good.
Was it MI2 that had Limp Bizkit singing the
Yes,
theme?
it is. I feel so bad. It's not a terrible film. It has a bad reputation. John Woo got screwed on that film, and in fact, I think that was the film that made him leave Hollywood.
And one of the guys playing the bad guys, didn't he have to choose between that movie and playing Wolverine in the X-Men?
Yes, he did. I can't remember that actor's name right off the top of my head. Give me 1 second to look. But yeah, he had been offered the role of Wolverine before Hugh Jackman, and turned it down in order to play, if I'm remembering the story correctly as it goes, Dougray Scott.
Yes.
Yeah, Dougray Scott had been offered Wolverine and did Mission Impossible 2, and the rest is history. Yeah, I would love, and I don't even think the footage even exists anymore. If we're releasing the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, I want to see the John Woo cut of Mission Impossible 2, because this ties into something that we talked about on our last Tarantino episode. When this came out in 2000, Woo wanted to release like this 3.5 hour spy action movie epic, and the studio was like, no, we need a 90-minute or 2-hour action film.
Yeah, that was at a time when people were still like, what? Oh, going over 2 hours is death for an action movie.
Yeah, now if John Woo
They're
came
not
to
100% wrong.
And then Lord of the Rings came out.
Yeah, and now if John Woo came to a studio and was like, I want to release a 3.5 hour spy action epic, they'd be like, here's all the money.
Especially after Red Cliff.
Yeah.
It's like what he went back to Hong Kong to do after leaving Hollywood. He went and made his back to his sword and sandals, martial arts 3-hour epic, and released here in 2 parts. Actually, released here in a combined single movie, and it was horrible because they did bad cutting.
Yeah.
But then he released 2 parts, released the film in 2 parts, and it was actually what was supposed to be there. And great movie. If you haven't seen Red Cliff, what he went back to Hong Kong to do, it's great. It's really great.
Well, I say all that to say hashtag release the Woo cut. Chris,
Release the
long-running film franchises. I know you were struggling before the episode began with this. Do you have anything?
No.
The Transformers franchise, right?
God, no. I stopped after 2 for obvious reasons.
Ladybug series.
What?
You know, the football movie.
You know, it's just too bad that Indiana Jones never had a 4th entry so that we could talk about
That's it.
that.
That's my... No. No, I don't. It's like in movies is
But
where...
it did, didn't it?
I kind of...
No, it didn't. There is no 4th Indiana Jones film.
Movies are where I kind of fall off in terms of like long running things I keep up with. I don't know if it counts, but no, that wouldn't count. Like the Muppet movies wouldn't count. That's like...
I don't know. That's a pretty long-running franchise.
It's a long-running franchise.
That was also a TV show as well.
But I mean, well, I should have mentioned them in the TV shows too. They had 5 seasons. And Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. Let's go back to TV. No, but well, movies I don't really count them because each movie is like an entirely different scenario they did. And then of course they did stuff like Christmas Carol and Treasure Island.
Yeah.
But so I don't really have a movie series or franchise that I've gone like that, because I also wouldn't really count the Marvel stuff either. It's on the fence, and I really wouldn't.
I gotcha.
Because again, it's like you're jumping to different scenarios that are interconnected, but not 100%.
Right. It's more difficult to say the Marvel franchise than it is to say the Star Wars franchise or Mission Impossible.
Or
But
even
you can
Fast and Furious.
You can say Avengers, though,
I suppose, yeah.
because they definitely had 4 plus the Captain America Civil War.
Kind of, but if you're going from one Avengers movie to the next, you're missing a lot in between, and so I can't. For me, I don't really have a movie series that counts for me.
I gotcha. Well, if you think of anything before the episode is over, chime in. Stan, long-running film franchise.
I'm going to, as an honorable mention, do the MCU universe films, Avengers specifically, but
the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The MCU universe, yes.
Yes. Wow. I couldn't even get that by.
Oh no, we sit here waiting.
But again, talking about shifting of paradigms, that set it on. That set a whole new.
Chris, do you remember when we did Long Walk Podductions and I'd have my laptop on standby to play sound effects? We need to bring that back.
That's all on you, man. You're in charge. You can do it whenever you want.
Yeah.
But anyway, I will include that because I don't think I've been enamored with going to the movies over and over and over again as much as I had to collect, the next MCU film. It's like even if I'm catching them on Netflix, like I did with Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp and stuff like that, and then knowing that they now have the X-Men and they have Fantastic Four and they're sharing Spider-Man.
Man. Think about it. We might see a good Fantastic Four movie in our lifetime.
That's what I'm saying is that, and the sense
don't
that
jinx it.
They'll still be connected.
Yeah.
With the phases, and maybe that's how I should make it more specific is the phasing of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Are you going to get Disney Plus?
I'm not going to get Disney Plus, but I do, and I don't know why. I guess it couldn't afford it anymore, but I wish Netflix still had some connection to that. Disney
snatched that shit up from them as fast as they could once Disney Plus.
On an off chance, eventually with some stuff you could maybe catch it on Hulu because Disney owns the majority stake in Hulu.
Right.
No, I don't think you'll ever see those Marvel shows, the Disney Plus Marvel shows outside of Disney Plus.
Even the post, like if they're in a third season, you won't get like the first or second season on Hulu.
No, they're gonna hang on to their shows tight.
So that's my honorable mention. I do like. I really think the MCU stuff is a key reason to go to movies now.
Yeah.
I'm scared about what the post-Endgame phases are going to involve, and because of the epidemic, or the pandemic, how much they were able to do and get done, and we'll be able to get done. That I might not be as excited about the next set.
I've always had that moment where it's like, oh no, is this the one I'm going to hate?
Yeah.
And I know it'll happen.
I thought that was going to be Ant-Man. And then I thought it was going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I was pleasantly surprised by both of them.
Both of those turned out to be really great.
I won't be super sad because this much of a run of movies, and then it takes that long to get to one that's like, no, that one fell flat. That's amazing.
There's a strong possibility that one is going to be the Eternals.
Could be. The space opera stuff is.
And then you get turned on the head again, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. That was fearful.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be what it was, So, but that's my honorable mention, and I will say MCU is important to me. But if you know me, I have to go with the Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit stuff.
But Stan, there were only 3 entries.
Then the Hobbit.
The what?
So that means 4 because you would only make one movie out of The Hobbit, right?
Right. I don't see why you'd make The Hobbit into more than one film. That was such a short book.
It's the shortest book in the whole series.
But it's at least 4. So
that's a good point. He's right.
If they only hit it, but it's only 4.
The Peter Jackson J.R. Tolkien franchise, and I don't know how, but I hope there's a way to get back into that world somehow. Again, this is purely me and how much I love being in that world and experiencing that world.
I want to see you go to a film studio and pitch The Silmarillion.
I know, right?
Actually, I'll make a pitch, not as a movie, but as just like a running series, maybe even just on the web that just does little bits from the histories.
Well, isn't there
'Cause it's
supposed to be a Amazon Lord of the Rings
That's
series?
right. Yeah, there is.
I don't think that's good. Well, they don't. They're almost
Hold on.
they're super close to like disavowing it or something because it's like
Really?
they don't like where it's headed or whatever
Really?
is happening. I'll tell you what. It's not really connected, but I always loved because they ran it on Cartoon Network so much in the early days when they didn't have their own program. The Hobbit,
The original,
it was it was like the Bakshi.
the Bakshi. Yep.
Yeah, the animated Hobbit that he did.
It's really great.
Really good.
It's really
Still one of
really
my
great.
favorites. Mm-hmm.
And it's a short form version of comparatively.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
still close to 2 hour. Well, it's about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. But
Sorry, I decided to Google it, and they were 1 month into filming the Lord of the Rings Amazon series in New Zealand before COVID shut them down.
Oh, that's what killed it.
No, I don't think it killed it.
Well, it's just put it on pause indefinitely.
Yeah. Closure of production is not a cancellation of the show, and with a very broad and anticipated 2021 air date, there's no reason at this point to believe that the project's release will be delayed. This is coming from IndieWire.
I am not owned. I am not owned.
is it Peter Jackson
I don't
produced,
think it is.
or
I don't
are
think
they
it is.
just
think
using
so.
New Zealand? As
It's probably in that
place?
same.
Because they still have the
Well, yeah,
Shire.
at this point, New Zealand and Lord of the Rings are synonymous with
Right.
each other.
I think it's in that same camp of like the what is it the video games where it's like the Shadow of Mordor. It's definitely it's doing its own take and it's not associated with the Peter Jackson stuff.
And it's like I'd be remiss to say that in the same way, but this goes back to TV shows, I guess. But in the same way that Lord of the Rings, and we won't get, I don't think we're going to get anymore. But like the Watchmen series, the HBO Watchmen series, and how
it got
If they
canceled.
do another season, it'll be without Lindelof, and that'll be a mistake.
right. And
I think it got canceled. I think it just
Well, no, they didn't really get canceled. It was only ever designed to be one season.
and how important that was in its one season, and it's like.
So you want to see Lord of the Rings tackle racism?
kind of does.
Well, don't they? It is, isn't it? It's like kill the Uruk-hai. We don't need them, but if you're an elf
We
or if
ethnically
you're
cleanse.
a hobbit,
Jesus, what
the
fucking
goblin.
rabbit hole did I just send us
You
down?
stepped into it and broke your ankle.
because basically the goblins are deplorables, but
The views of S. Wilson Lee do not necessarily represent the entire views of Long Wolf
Or the
Productions.
Tolkien estate. God damn, of all the people not to piss off.
no, I
They're
don't
not
mean
notoriously
that.
litigious, are they?
No, not at all.
No, but no, I think the Lord of the Rings series, especially Tolkien's books, I think it's pretty much a comment on or against racism. And it's like, especially when one group finds the power to take on all the other groups and destroy them.
Well, I think it was more of a commentary on climate change than anything else.
The books, or
The books and the movie.
would Tolkien know about climate change?
Well, I mean,
In the 30s?
deforestation
In
and
the 40s?
yeah.
Well, deforestation, yes, I agree with that.
Overall themes of industrialization,
environmentalism.
environmentalism.
Okay, yeah.
Let's go with that. Not
I'm
climate
betting.
change.
I'm betting he saw a lot of that kind of stuff because it was post World War One when
Right.
he wrote about that.
Right.
He channeled a lot of his experiences and his thoughts about how the world was rapidly changing. I'm betting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very nice.
So Lord of the Rings is what I wish could continue in some way, and I'm glad it had at least Peter Jackson specifically. So
Very nice.
Okay, this isn't my pick, but I just remembered. Man, there's a. Here's a series that ran for a long time that you don't really think about. The Land Before Time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
At least 3 to 4 of them were in theaters, and then it got up to like 12 or 13 by the time they were done putting them on DVD.
I will see your Land Before Time and raise you Air Bud. and we're going to end it on that note right there.
God. Yeah,
but should those stick around though, or should they go away?
They won't go away because Disney will never stop airing them on Disney Channel.
Land Before Time, though, I think it's been
Air Bud has been dead for 20 years, and they just keep.
It's been consistently.
Well, that's because then the buddies came along, the puppies.
Exactly, but
I'm saying Air Bud the dog.
Yeah.
Land Before Time, though. Even though it's been on so many times, it's been consistently at least above average.
And then after they stopped making the movies, I think they just went and just made a TV series. So
Yes.
we're just making a bunch of these anyway.
Might as well.
So that's not bad, but I do agree.
No.
The Bud shows.
Yeah, no, they got terrible.
And I love dogs and I love Bud, but the Air Bud series
All right,
could
reset
disappear.
the clock on marijuana references.
Yeah, if only there was an audio cue for a facepalm. I'm going to have to... Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Guess what I'm doing?
All right. Well, thank you guys, as always, for being part of this discussion. Stan, I know that you're really not on social media much. Chris, if any of our listeners want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
They can harass me via Twitter, which is the proper way to do it, at Chris the OK.
Excellent.
You can find me on Facebook, whatever,
And in the club.
And in the club, actually.
Oh, excuse me. You're right.
And if you want to follow me personally, the best place to do that would be Instagram at DBHensley. And you can follow Long Walk Podcast on Twitter as well, at Long Walk Podcast, no S. If you want to follow us on Facebook, you can search for a Long Walk Podcast or our production company, Long Walk Productions. And if you want to see some more of our original work and listen to some back episodes of the 3 shows on this network, you can find those links for both of those in the show notes of this episode. So we'll be back, I think, next week to continue our Quentin Tarantino discussion with Death Proof. And then we've got a couple more wrestling pay-per-views, both for NXT and WWE, coming up in the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for those. So thank you, guys.
Oh, see you later, Switzerland. See you later, Ghana.
Yes, thank you to our listeners in Switzerland and Ghana and everywhere else. Thank you for listening to the show.
And the UK. There's at least 3 of you there.
Yeah, a couple in Ireland.
Really?
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed this show or any of the shows on our network, please make sure to leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you are listening on.
Peace out.
Bye, guys.